It's August 29th, 2017, and this is a video about the University of Utah Hospital and the clinic they operate out of the South Main Clinic, a joint operation between the University of Utah and Salt Lake County. At the South Main Clinic, the University of Utah has some family practice people and also slash general practice, and also some women's health stuff, such as the midwives. Some midwives go there from the University of Utah. So anyway, the short story is that my wife was seeing the midwives when she was pregnant, and we were going to another small clinic run by the university called the Heartland Clinic. The university decided to close their midwife operation at the Heartland place, and then they moved the Heartland function to the South Main Clinic. So when you're a patient in the midwife group, you can go to any of these clinics, any provider, any clinic, adult clinic. They were operating a teen clinic, which I'm not sure if they are anymore. But in any case, for the adults people, you can go to any clinic you want and pretty much get the same treatment because it's all on the same chart. So when we transferred from going to see Heartland, which was kind of convenient, easy parking, easy access, rather than driving all the way up to the University Hospital, there was some issues with getting a translator for my wife. And so I sent some letters, and I got a letter back from like a head of the College of Nursing promising that my wife would be able to continue to get translators according to our preferences, and we had an expressed preference for receiving in-person interpretation instead of over the phone. So we went to the South Main Clinic, and we had our in-person interpretation for about 3 visits, 2 no-shows, and about 3 deals where the interpreter did show up. And then after that happened, after those, then the manager for the South Main Clinic basically said, no, we're not going to do this anymore. We only provide in-person interpretation for Spanish, and for no other language. So I filed, and my wife said, when my wife heard about the situation where they only provide in-person interpretation for Spanish but for no other language, my wife said, oh, they look down on Asian people. And I thought, that sounds like discrimination to me. When my wife actively expresses a situation where she feels discriminated against. So I filed a complaint with the University of Utah Office of Equal Opportunity. And so that was in August 2016 when I posted a blog post about this. So now it's August 2017, pretty much a year later. And I look in my email, my personal email, which I don't really check every day, and I see that, they issued their decision a year later, and they gave me about 5 days to respond to their decision, which was basically, go to hell. And then and then after that deadline ended for submitting more evidence, then they said, you have 5 more days to request a hearing. So of course, because I don't check my personal email that much, I mean, who emails? It's mostly social media online. I don't really email people much anymore. Who does? I guess a few people. But people have moved to other ways of communicating, mostly a little more popular than just reading emails. And so personal emails, that is. So I wrote back and I said, I wrote back today and I said, well, there was no paper letter, there was no phone call. They could have called me. But anyway, it chaps me off that they basically just denied. I sent them many pages of information about how a University of Utah manager of the College of Nursing promised my family that we'd be able to have in-person interpretation as per our preferences. And then they broke that promise. So, well, I guess they can just break whatever promises they want to, It doesn't matter if they're a government entity or a government employee makes the promise or a manager makes the promise. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter that the manager of this South Main clinic is a complete and total asshole. Excuse my French, but yes, the guy was an asshole to me over the phone. And, the basic response to the University of Utah to my family is, screw you. Screw you. You want an in-person interpreter? Well, over the phone's all you get. Unless you happen to speak Spanish, then you get top treatment. But if you speak another language, not besides Spanish, then you get bottom level treatment. That's discrimination. That's unequal treatment. If you speak Spanish, you get high treatment. If you don't speak Spanish, you get low treatment. That's discrimination. If they're going to offer in-person interpretation to one group, they need to offer it to another, to all. Plus, that's a separate but all equally important issue is the fact that a College of Nursing manager promised me that they would honor our interpretation preferences. And they didn't. They lied. They reneged on their promises. So yeah, we agree that the midwives at the University of Utah are nice, but the people around them, the managers, and the Equal Opportunity Office at the University of Utah, they're especially worthless because they're not interested in being any sort of an advocate for the truth. If they were an advocate for the truth, they would have called me on the phone and said, hey, guess what? We've made our decision. You have 5 days to submit new evidence. And after that deadline passed, they should have called me up and said, hey, guess what? You have 5 days to request a hearing. Well, I was on vacation last week with seeing the eclipse and other stuff and dealing with other things. They should have sent me a paper letter. I pay attention to paper letters more than I do to my email, which is mostly filled with spam and stuff, and hardly anybody sends me personal email, my personal. So excuse me, but I didn't check the deadline of these people who denied my case anyway after a year. The wheels of injustice at the University of Utah grind very finely. If you're not, with the general cultural left, there's a hierarchy, and Asians are lower on the hierarchy. So my wife scores lower on the social justice warrior hierarchy, and so she gets more crappy treatment from the cultural left and from the racist University of Utah. So I made my August 2016 blog post, but I held off on, doing a video until now. But I figured, what the hell? They just sent me a stupid denial thing, and then I find out, I had an opportunity for a hearing, which the deadline passed, and they didn't bother to send me any paper communication on that or make a phone call. They don't care. They just care about crossing the I's and dotting the T's, just so they can look good and get paid over $100,000 a year, I'm sure, just so that they can. Get paid for looking like they're doing stuff when they're really not. So that's the bottom line. So anyway, that's my comment about the University of Utah South Main Clinic. Don't go to the South Main Clinic. And And I guess if you're an Asian, you need to watch out. You get top treatment if you speak Spanish, but if you don't speak Spanish, you're sorry out of luck, or you just have to deal with over the phone. Maybe you'll get in person. Some of their clinics, not the South Main Clinic, and also the University of Utah, will break their promises to you. College of Nursing manager promises you something in writing. I have the paper letter in writing, and I sent that to him. If the College of Nursing manager promises you something in writing, it means nothing. So yeah, government socialized medicine. The government employee doesn't give one rat's ass about whether they do a good job or anything. They just have their job, and they can treat everybody like complete shit. So yeah, even within that environment, I admit that people can be nice, and we have had nice experiences with the midwives overall. But there's also been situations where you complain to a manager and they try to retaliate against you. They tell you should leave the university system. They put a black mark on you. They don't care about complaints. In fact, they hate complaints. They hate complaints so much that they will retaliate against you if you complain. So watch out. I guess overall, I would recommend staying away from the South Main Clinic, and if you can, the specialties at the University of Utah. The doctors are usually a little more rude, and I guess until this issue's resolved, which is not, they've chosen to not resolve it. You have to say that they're also, the University of Utah is racist, and the University of Utah Hospital is racist, and they don't like Asian people, like my wife. They look down on Asian people. That's what my wife said. So the University of Utah doesn't care about that, and that's just the way it is. My wife's lower down on the hierarchy. The social justice warrior, group rights, group blames hierarchy. So, all right, just FYI. And I'll attach this, link this in my original blog post, and make a new blog post to indicate this situation. All right, freedom of speech.